On a tapé. Welcome to the Thursday stream. Wait, is it already Thursday? No, it can't be. Yeah, it is Thursday. Welcome, everybody. It is Friday Junior, folks. It's already the weekend. Can you believe that? welcome, everybody. Derry Bennett, Heat, how's it going? Trump with Dr. Phil. Yeah, we'll get the cliff notes. We'll get the cliff notes from that in just a moment. Folks, today is going to be a bit of a quick stream. Gotta be quick, as Sam Cedar says, gotta be quick. We will be speed running through all of this, so let me get started. Folks, if you haven't done so already, hello. If you haven't done so already, folks, consider checking out the Discord. This weekend, there will be movie night, folks. 6 p.m. movie night, Dune number 2. If you haven't done so already as well, like the stream. I see you guys on YouTube. I see you. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Consider subscribing on YouTube. It really does help us out. Follow us here on Twitch. Thank you for your support. Consider checking out the merch store, and you can tip your streamer directly by hitting that exclamation mark tip. Let's get that started, folks. Oh yeah, and join the Discord, folks. Join the Discord. That's very important. I'm excited for Dune 2. I'm going to really need a break prepping for homeschool next week. Ooh. Well, we are going to have a excellent movie night. T-Ball the Blue, thank you for the offline follow. I appreciate that.
You believe you have more to do. You weren't done. You were spared for a reason.
Well, God believes that, I guess.
Man, that's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. I guess God didn't feel the need to spare the Trump supporter that died. He didn't feel the need to spare that guy. Not important enough.
Not one to be upstaged by Oprah, who of course handed Dr. Phil his entire career on a silver platter, and Oprah endorsing Kamala Harris last week. Dr. Phil ensured that he wanted to get out there in front of the cameras to interview Reverend Trump on his deep connection to God. Following the attempt on his life. This is at least the portion of the interview that's been released. It's 20 minutes of just this discussion, and it is insane. So I'm going to play for you a few clips, and I'm going to intersperse this with various details about how wonderful and religious Donald Trump is. His many favorite Bible verses, not to mention the God Bless the USA Bible that he sold for $60. But
yeah, collateral damage, I guess. Yeah, imagine following a religion that's completely fine with you being collateral damage so long as Trump lives. Like, does that make any type of sense? So like, Trump is so godly that God felt the need to spare him. However, in the process of sparing him, one of his supporters died and a few got severely injured. But I guess, that's the kind of God we're talking about, right?
Putting all that aside, how he uses religion for his own benefit, let's get to the first clip of this.
Jesus Christ. Oh, man. You can really see, like, the Christo-fascism kind of really come together in that, what, 2-3 seconds right there? You can really see the Christo-fascism get all nicely packaged in there in that 2 or 3 seconds right there. over the border. Got it. Are we in China? Because all I see are pandas.
quickly.
Of course, God saved Trump because he's worried about the crime rate. No, hunger, no. Poverty, forget about it. Destruction of the environment, no. God saved Trump because he wants to increase the crime rate because it's been lower since Trump left office. Even this Bloomberg columnist here who didn't think so,
Michael Hasser, welcome.
realized he was wrong. I didn't think Biden affected crime rates. I was wrong. When you look at the data, the president deserves some credit for the decline. And look, I'm not going to make the whole video about this, but I'll link to this below the video. You can go through it yourself. FBI crime data shows this. The wave crested soon after Trump left office. So it's all very clear. But I want to, before I get to the next clip, the beginning of that, the question from Dr. Phil. You must have reflected on why you were spared. This reminded me of my favorite Trump quote because this speaks to who Donald Trump is.
Yeah.
This is a direct Trump quote from 2014. I don't like to analyze myself because I might not like what I see. Is there a more revealing quote than this?
I didn't know about this one. This is actually very interesting. I'm glad that David Dole brought this up because I didn't know about this. Because yeah, I think he's right. I think Dole's right.
I actually don't think Trump's really reflected about what this means and why I maybe he thinks about it in the sense of how he can use it for his own benefit. I don't think he has any greater thoughts about life generally. Even and we'll get to Dr. Phil brings up his family later. We'll get to that. But like this is the direct quote here. No, I don't want to think about it, he said when Mr. D'Antonio asked him to contemplate the meaning of his life. I don't like to analyze myself because I might not like what I see. Does Trump really seem to you like somebody who reflects?
No, not really.
Who considers his actions in any way?
Nope.
Who thinks
I think,
about...
I think like the only considerations like Trump actually has is whether or not, whether or not said action, it's whether or not said action is going to benefit him and in what way. That's like the only like consideration that someone like Trump has.
His purpose? No, it's all about how can he further himself.
Yeah. That's basically it. Like that's about as much consideration as Trump gives to whatever is in front of him, right? Whatever the dilemma, question, interview, debate, whatever it is. It's how is this going to affect me? How is this going to benefit me? What are the ramifications of this for me?
How can he make more money? How can he get more eyeballs on? That's all this is about. It's all vanity. It's all it's ever been about. And now it's about this election, about protecting him from liability, from criminal liability. Now, let me get to the next clip where they go a little deeper.
Yeah, like again, just to be very clear, Trump has to run to stay out to stop the prosecutions, the investigations into him. Okay? Trump doesn't care about the country, Trump doesn't care about the people, Trump doesn't care about anything else other than dismantling the special counsel that is looking at him. That's what this is all about.
On God.
Please welcome President Ronald Reagan, who has a few questions for
Man,
you.
we start it never fails, like how we start talking about like Trump and whatnot, and we get these ads. God's hand. Yeah, God's hand that spared Trump but didn't spare the rest of the people that got killed. What? How do you know this?
Number one, I'm in an election with a very vicious group of...
Can you imagine? Like, so basically the implication is like, man, how freaking vain is this guy? The implication is that he knows what God is thinking. Okay? He's coming at this from the perspective of like, well, I guess that's what God's assuming, right? I mean, I'm here, aren't I?
What? What? Biden said only God could push him out of the race, and then Biden was pushed out of the race?
Yeah, that you know what that means, right?
Whose God can we trust?
That only means one thing, okay? It means Nancy Pelosi is God, okay? That's what that means. That's what that means. It means Nancy Pelosi and the people that backed her movement to try to get Joe to step down are God.
I like how Trump feels like you can see he like catches himself there. Putting a competing God on the table against the God that saved his life. Just this whole conversation is so stupid. Maybe it's just
And that means Pelosi saved Trump. That's true.
life. Life happens and things happen in life, and there's chances and luck, and maybe there isn't this God figure looking down and moving the chess pieces around. Maybe that is not happening because that's absolutely insane. Maybe it's just life and things happen in life. But I'm the crazy one apparently. So this whole clip, there is so much in this clip because he also says again in this clip that he won the election against Biden, which he didn't.
Well,
so again,
I mean, it sounded, not to be that guy, but it sounded like he was talking about this election. In which case, yeah, he was leading Biden. But I don't know. I could be wrong.
Election denial. I'll get to a bit of that in a second, but this is another example of how Trump is attempting to use this phoniness, this love of religion or of God, to try and get him the election. He's trying to get sympathy from people here. Oh, I've changed. God saved my life.
I'm a godly man.
It's destiny.
Okay.
I must win the election now. After I gave that adult film actress $130,000, God knew that I was the one. Just ridiculous.
I don't know her. Stormy Daniels, who I'd never seen her.
This is how much Trump loves God.
Okay. You mentioned the Bible. You've been talking about how it's your favorite book. And you said, I think last night in Iowa, some people are surprised that you say that. I'm wondering what one or two of your most favorite Bible verses are and why.
I wouldn't want to get into it because...
That's it. That's it. Case closed. Stop the clip. All right. We're done. Oh, man. I wouldn't want to get into it, because...
To me, that's very personal. When I talk about the Bible, it's very personal. So I don't want to get into verses. I don't want to get into...
There's no verse that means a lot to you that you think about or cite?
The Bible means a lot to me, but I don't want to get into specifics.
Even to cite a verse that you like?
No, I don't want to do that.
You're an Old Testament guy or a New Testament guy?
Probably equal. I think it's just...
Yeah, 2 Corinthians. There you go.
An incredible...
2 Corinthians played poker. Welcome, John Rando.
Well, the whole Bible is an incredible... I joke very much so. They always hold up The Art of the Deal. I say my second favorite book of all time. But I just think the Bible is just something very special.
Nah.
I'm sorry. Nobody can possibly believe this man. And here's the fact. They don't believe him. Just 8% of people who have a positive view of Trump think he is very religious. Now, 51% still think he is somewhat religious, which I think is insane. But very few people think he is very religious, of even his own supporters. So
right, because it's not about that, right? I put equal on my coffee. I see what you did there.
Nobody believes this bullshit. He recently put this on sale. God Bless the USA Bible for $60.
Plus shipping.
The only Bible endorsed by Donald Trump. It's so ridiculous. Not to mention Michael Cohen's recent book here. I was going to pull up a few few quotes here. So Michael Cohen, who is Trump's lawyer forever, so Trump loathes Christians and mocks their faith, but pretends to believe if it suits his purposes. He quotes Trump calling Christianity and its religious practices bullshit, and then sued after, masterfully posing as a fervent believer. In truth, Cohen writes, Trump's religion is unbridled lust for money and power at all costs to others. You know this is true.
Yeah.
Trump's repeated and public denouncements of Christians as fools, idiots, and schmucks.
Yeah, which tracks so much because, like, that's the mark, right? That's the people that are buying these $60 absurd Bibles. How many people think he's the actual Antichrist? That's a good question. They worship Trump, not Christ. Correct.
And in extensive writing and speeches, Trump has declared his philosophy is revenge. That stance is aggressively anti-Christian, obviously. Like, nobody believes this garbage. Last clip here. This one is really fun because Dr. Phil asks Trump about his family, and watch how Trump just completely avoids the question.
Trump not understanding how statistics works.
It's a dangerous place. He allowed it. He and her allowed it to become dangerous.
May I remind you, the question was, has this changed you? Did you hug your kids extra hard? And 56 seconds later, we end on
the border. Yeah, the brown people, the evil brown people invading. Got it. Crab fisherman is pretty dangerous. I would say that a crab fisherman is in much more danger than the president of the United States. Okay.
The border is very dangerous. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. Oh, terrible on the border. Trump is completely incapable of any self-reflection, even faking it. Like, he brings up, oh, people say this is a dangerous job. He doesn't even say if he fears the job more. Like, there's nothing there. There's no self-reflection, no feeling, nothing. Because again, Trump doesn't do self-reflection. He may not like what he sees.
That's a very good point. I'm so glad that he brought that. As an industry, I think logging is the most dangerous. Yeah, I would believe it. I would believe it.
Just an
logging is incredibly freaking dangerous.
Incredible interview in the most disgusting way. Dr. Phil spent decades on television interviewing people who he saw right through, who were full of shit, and he caught them in lies, and he was, he saw right through them. You can't see through the biggest bullshitter on the planet? Like, I'm sure he has to, right?
It's just that, like, Dr. Phil just needs the views, man. That's it. That's about as, like, deep as that analysis needs to go. Dr. Phil just had Trump because he needs the viewership, and he's turned to the right. Part of why Cobain was so dark with his lyrics, he grew up in a logging town. Huh. The more you know.
Dr. Phil knows Trump's full of shit. He has to know that. But it is a weird choice to ask him a question about, has this changed him, about his feelings, did he hug his kids extra hard? If you know Trump well enough, you know he's not going to be able to answer that question. Trump can't even fake his way through love for his children. So there's I'm not sure what Dr. Phil expected to get out of that, but it goes to show how empty Trump is. Not to mention the border. Oh God, gotta fearmonger the border. Desperate, hungry people fleeing for their lives at the border, just as God would do. Build that wall, keep them out. Apparently, God doesn't enter that conversation.
Nope.
But it's more about, personally saving Donald Trump in his life. Wild.
Yeah.
One last thing, though. Since this was brought up in the discussion about Trump claiming he won the election, I just think it's important to continue hammering this home. This is not just about Jan 6. This is about the plan that Trump and his allies had to steal the election with a slate of fake electors.
Yeah.
So I will link to this full story below the video.
By the way, which is, again, absolutely freaking wild that is a thing that happened. I cannot continue to stress just how absurd that is. That there was a literal attempt to overturn the election by the Republicans by shoehorning these fake electors.
Sure, you all realize it, but it's important. Like, you are interviewing somebody who tried to steal the election for himself.
Yep.
And we're treating this guy like he's normal. Like he's just a normal candidate. So this was why, they're all mad at Mike Pence, who disappeared, interestingly.
Yeah, so like, man, that brings up such a good point. Like, every time Trump goes behind an interview, gets in front of a camera or behind the microphone, like, that question should be coming up each and every time. Like, hey, what was that about the fake elector scheme that, like, people are facing trial for this? Like, what gives, bro? Like, how do we as a country square that circle? Like, this is supposed to be a quote unquote, and I'm using this term very lightly, it's supposed to be a democracy, and you've made a mockery of it, and you've attempted to circumvent it. Like, how are we supposed to square that circle? And now you want to run again? Why should people vote for you? Why would anybody in their right mind vote in what's presumed to be a democratic election for a person who literally tried to steal the previous democratic election? Yeah, America, defending democracy everywhere but here. Yeah, we're too busy exporting 2,000-pound democracy makers around the world.
So they wanted Pence to count the pro-Trump slate of electors as opposed to the real ones. So to give Trump the victory, the other option was to declare the election defective. That would give it to the delegations in the House of Representatives, and
right, which would presumably, I believe at the time it was, controlled by Republicans
in various states to give Trump the election or delay the certification altogether and give Trump some more time to figure it out. But again, not brought up here.
Yeah,
Phil?
and just the fact that, like, if the scenario, any one of those scenarios would play out, that's a freaking crisis, man. Even if, like, they just delayed the certification of elections, that's all Trump really needed, because that sows doubt.
Dr. Phil, my buddy Phil, doesn't deny when Trump claims he won the election. Just a completely absurd conversation. And at the beginning of that clip, by the way, I didn't show it, but Dr. Phil claims he's going to ask Trump some tough questions. Look, maybe they come up. Maybe I'm wrong.
Very tough.
Maybe the clip will come out where Dr. Phil is hammering Trump on his lies about the election and his attempt to steal the election. But I highly doubt that.
Right. Dr. Phil isn't a journalist, not even a doctor. So I don't have time to go through this one, but so Kamala Harris, as we know and probably have seen some of the rhetoric going around, she is adopting a more right-wing position on immigration in an attempt to do what Joe Biden did. And that's not good, because, like, why blow it? Why blow it when you don't have to, like, indulge in this right-wing nonsense. Okay? You're not going to get right-wing votes because you want to be perceived as tougher on the border. Like, no Republicans, no conservatives are looking at this and going, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to vote for Kamala now. Meanwhile, doing stuff like that will risk this. Democratic nominee Kamala Harris has surged ahead of Republican Donald Trump 48 to 43. That is the 5% lead that I was looking for. The findings reflect an 8-point turnaround in the presidential race from late June when Trump had led President Biden in the survey by nearly 4 points. The vice president's small lead was fueled by big shifts among key demographic groups traditionally crucial for Democrats, including Hispanic and Black voters and young people. Among those with annual incomes of less than $20,000, and the biggest change, a 3-point Trump edge over Biden in June, has become now a 23-point advantage for Harris. No, she's running a Clinton campaign. Yeah, that tracks, honestly. Not recommend, by the way. Do not recommend. She has succeeded in doing what Biden never could, and that is lead Trump. Her advantage is within the survey's margin of error, and the poll is taken after the DNC. So, yeah, if a lead is maintained, not just in one poll, this is an example, a snapshot. But if a trend where she leads about 5 points plus 5 in national polls, I think it's done. I think I'll call it. If the trend if the trends end up being that, then yeah, I'll call it plus 5 across the board, and it's a sustained plus 5. Yeah, I'll call it, especially with 2 months to go. 2 months to go to the election. Yeah. So why risk it? Why blow it on such a non-issue, just to placate the right? Makes no damn sense. Okay, Mr. Wasserman. I mean, I'll call it. All right, call me. Call me Nate Silver, but yeah, if it's a plus 5 across the board, and or if it's a plus 5 across the board in favor of Kamala and she wins, you can call me Kornacki, okay? Jack Smith files superseding indictment against Trump in January 6 case. This is brought to us by the Discord. This was brought to us by Mr. Heat. Prosecutors filed a superseding indictment in the federal criminal case against Trump, the Republican presidential nominee, after the Supreme Court granted the former president substantial immunity, according to a new court filing. The court papers say the superseding indictment was presented to a new grand jury that had not previously heard evidence in the case. The papers say the new indictment reflects the government's efforts to respect and implement the Supreme Court holdings and remand instructions. Prosecutor Molly Gaston, in a new court filing, said that the Justice Department will not insist that Trump make an in-person appearance for arraignment on the new indictment. The Justice Department say will confer with Trump's lawyer and try to come up with a joint proposal for how to proceed in the case. Judge Tanya Chutkan had asked for an update by Friday. Special counsel Jack Smith had been consulting with other officials inside the Justice Department for weeks about the case, which accuses then-President Trump of leading a conspiracy to overturn the 2020 election and disenfranchising millions of voters. The scheme allegedly culminated in a cascade of violent attacks on police at the Capitol in the insurrection 3 years ago. Trump has denied all charges. His lawyers have said Trump's words and actions on and before January 6 amount to a legitimate inquiry about possible election fraud. Sure. A conservative supermajority on the Supreme Court largely sided with Trump, giving the former president absolute immunity from prosecution for acts that were, quote, core to his official duties. In a statement on Truth Social on Tuesday, Trump called the superseding indictment an effort to resurrect the dead witch hunt. He alleged that the ridiculous new indictment against me should be dismissed. The High Court ruling, written by Chief Justice John Roberts, specifically carved out part of the case where Trump had been accused of misusing the Justice Department to pursue phony theories of fraud at the ballot box. But the opinion left open many critical questions for a D.C. trial judge to pursue. Judkin asked lawyers for both Smith and Trump for guidance about how to proceed. There's no chance the case will be tried before election day in November, and if Trump prevails, he could direct his appointees at the Justice Department to drop it next year, which is why it's so critical for him to win the election for him, in his view. First, Trump supported to breach the Capitol on January 6th, sentenced to over 4 years in prison. Insurrectionist to breach the Capitol during the January 6th attack was sentenced to more than 4 years in federal prison on Tuesday after he told the judge he still believes that Donald Trump, the lies about Donald Trump about the 2020 election till this day. Man, bro is looking at 4 years in prison, 4 years in federal prison, and he's like, yep, I still believe the dear leader. Wow, amazing. Not a cult, by the way. Seems like Trump's found himself in a situation similar to Netanyahu. He has to stay in power to stay out of trouble. Yep. Yeah. Which probably explains why Netanyahu would prefer Trump winning, because it's in Netanyahu's best interest for Trump to win, and incidentally, it's in Trump's best interest for him to win, for Trump to win. So yeah, the Kool-Aid is incredibly strong. Not even federal prison. Michael Sparks, who spent the week leading up to the Capitol attack, consuming and regurgitating right-wing lies about the presidential election, was sentenced to 53 months in federal prison at hearing before U.S. District Judge Timothy Kelly, who also oversaw the seditious conspiracy trial of members of the Proud Boys. Quote, I'm an American citizen who believes to this day that we are in tyranny, Sparks told Kelly, adding that he believes the conspiracy theory that the 2020 election was taken from the American people. Yeah, BFFs. A 4 year of prison might change his tune, though. We'll see. I don't know. If you don't want to leave the cult, you're not leaving the cult. Yeah, put an alert on the calendar to check back with this guy in 4 years. Kelly emphasized that Sparks had the right to believe whatever conspiracy theory he wished, no matter how divorced it was from reality, but he did not have the right to storm the Capitol. Quote, I don't really think you appreciate the full gravity of what happened and that day, and frankly, the full seriousness of what you did, Kelly said, explaining why he went over the sentencing guidelines of 15 to 21 months. Quote, a lot of us would like to see our country grapple with different challenges differently, said Kelly, a Trump appointee, but that did not give people license to behave as Sparks did. Given his support from the community, his lack of criminal history, Kelly said, there isn't an obvious explanator for what Sparks did on January 6th. What happened on January 6th cannot happen again, said Kelly, saying insurrectionists had interfered with the process foundational to our country's governance. Quote, what a dangerous precedent, January 6th said. What a Pandora box it opened, he said. America had a perfect score for peaceful transfers of power before January 6, he noted, and we can't get that back. It's gone. Sparks' case was complicated by a Supreme Court decision in June that affected the charge of obstruction of an official proceeding, which had been used against hundreds of January 6 defendants. Prosecutors dropped that charge before sentencing, but Kelly said he was able to take the conduct presented at trial into consideration and said that it was clear that Sparks wanted to obstruct the counting of the Electoral College votes. Prosecutors pointed to evidence that Sparks had claimed that Trump would win decisively in the lead-up to the 2020 election. Quote, Trump will win by a landslide. It won't even be close. 49 state landslide. Yeah. Guaranteed. Bro has watched some Tim Pool. It won't even be close, he wrote, even as election results were still being gathered, predicting that Trump would secure the 293 electoral votes. He got 232, losing to Biden's 306. After Biden's win, Sparks, like Trump, had trouble grappling with the loss, and his rhetoric got increasingly heated as January 6 approached. Quote, drag these clowns out of office, he wrote in December of 2020, according to evidence presented at the trial. How about we the people drag you out by your face, he wrote on Christmas Eve, posting images of Nancy Pelosi, then the House Speaker and Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer of New York. Just before the attack, Sparks said that he wanted civil war and that he was willing to die for Trump. Yeah, actually, my bad. So, the Speaker of the House at the time was Nancy Pelosi, which means the Dems had control of the House. So, my bad. I was incorrect in the previous comment. Just before the attack, Sparks said that he wanted civil war, saying he's willing to die for Trump, even long after January 6th. Sparks continued to believe the proof of a massive election scheme was just around the corner. Quote, they're trying to hide everything, but there are a ton of court cases going on, he wrote in January 9th of 2022. I truly believe they're going to expose a fraudulent election. Man, this guy's deep in there. More than 1,400 defendants have been charged in connection with the January 6 attack, and more than 1,000 have been convicted. Many January 6 defendants have received probationary sentences, but more than 500 have received sentences ranging from a few days to up to 22 years in federal prison, which was a sentence Kelly imposed on former Proud Boys chairman Enrique Tarrio. Indeed. Many January 6 defendants have said that they expect Trump to win in November and free them from prison, including violent insurrectionist David Dempsey, who was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison this month. Trump has indicated his support for pardons and referred to January 6 insurrectionists as hostages and unbelievable patriots. Cool. This January 6-ish has destroyed friendships for me. Well, I'm sorry that people have gone off the deep end with this one. Patriots, according to Trump, because, the only people that are patriots in Trump's eyes are, well, people that support him. A trigger when people impulsively compare January 6th to BLM. The only people doing that are people who are being completely disingenuous and attempting to forego any responsibility of a deeply serious situation that happened on January 6th. And quite frankly, it's pretty despicable. The National Guard were ready to gun down BLM protesters in Washington, but stood back and let January 6 happen. I wonder what the difference was between the two groups. Yeah, or the sheep who listened to them. Indeed. All right, folks, we made it to 6 o'clock. I did what I came here to do, folks, which is make sure we talked about the important stuff that is happening right now. We'll be back on Monday. Don't forget, folks, this Saturday in a couple days, there will be a There will be a movie night around 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be enjoying Dune number 2. If you haven't watched Dune number 1, I highly recommend you watch it. And join the Discord, folks. It's the best way to keep up with the channel. Thank you all for stopping by. Thank you, Michael Hesser. Thank you, Heat, for modding the chat. Thank you all for hanging out. I appreciate it. Folks, don't forget, there are plenty of ways to support the channel. For those of you on the YouTube, thank you guys so much. Keep it up. Keep liking the stream. Subscribe to the channel, folks. It really does help us out. Follow us here on Twitch. Join the Discord, folks. Consider checking out the merch store and !tip to tip your streamer directly. I appreciate it, folks. Thank you all for stopping by. We'll be back on Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern times, folks. As always, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love y'all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. I didn't even make an event. I shall. No problem. Thank you all. See ya. Hang tight, folks. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I reached my destination and I found it hard on me that I wasn't really anywhere, said no one left to be. That train that I was on was over a shining sea. Don't believe it if you please.
1 second, folks. Hey, we made it through the whole song. Alright, folks, I got it. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.